Hey everyone, welcome back to the Civilian Angle. My name's Garrett, and today we're going to be going over the Agilite Magnetix Battle Belt. They've been developing this belt for a while, and they just dropped it, I think, about a month or two ago. So, real quick, full disclosure, I will say I am part of their T&E program in their law enforcement division. So, I did have a little tiny hand in making this belt. However, that only involved them sending me questionnaires, me answering them and sending it back. I didn't get any prototypes. I didn't, see any schematics, anything like that. So, but yeah, I was involved technically in developing this belt. So, if that shows my bias, then so be it. However, just want to let you guys know real quick. So I'm going to do a quick overview just so you can see the belt. I'll go over the features and everything, and then I'll give my 2 cents at the end. So, without any delay, let's get into the belt. Here she is. I've got it fully kitted out. I've been using this thing quite a bit, and I can't say anything other than I absolutely love the belt so far. I've used quite a few different belts, from the Corby one to Blue Alpha Gears, Belt Light. So yeah, belts are definitely getting lighter and, becoming not more minimalistic, but they're trying to use less material to make them lighter, and I think Tegris is the new cheat code that everyone's found to be the most useful. So anyways, I'm running a Safariland 6360 RDS on here with a True North Concepts drop and the T-Rex leg strap. I run Kaiwis. This is a Kaiwi handcuff pouch with the magnet on the outside. Then in the rear, I'm running a high-speed gear IFAC kit. IFAC's super important. You should have one when you go out to the range just in case, if you need to stuff a wound because somebody ND'd into their, butt cheek. Super important to have. And then I'm running 2 mag pouches with a Blue Force Gear dump pouch. I like running the shorty in the back because it doesn't ride up in your plate carrier. And then I run pistol Kaiwis in the front. And these are the ones that are spaced. I recommend getting the spaced ones because if you don't, your mags are going to be riding on top of each other, and that can get really annoying. So, anyways, that's how I have this thing kitted out. Let's go over the inner belt real quick, and then we'll go over the outer. Alright, here we have the inner belt. So I'll start from this end, and we'll just work our way down to the other end. Here we have a piece of Tegris and or thermoplastic, whatever you want to call it. And this will actually tuck in to the other side of the belt to keep it nice and tidy. Having this piece of Tegris right here, it will actually run across your front. Really helps because this belt doubles as an EDC belt, and having that rigidity right where your appendix carry is going to sit comes in super clutch. So I actually really like this feature. It works really well. And then you have a little loop. This is obviously where you bring the other end of your belt in and tighten it down right here, and it's got some stretch to it. And that stretch really helps you, kind of fine tune the tightness. It's actually really nice to have as opposed to not having it. The Velcro on this belt is really good. It's really tough. However, for EDC, I don't really like Velcro because if you go to adjust it, it's super loud. I mean, if you go into a store and someone's going to hear that and they're going to look. So just that abrasive sound, I really don't like having on an EDC belt. However, if you adjust it before you get out of the car, then you're good to go, as long as, you don't go eat and need to adjust it again. So, moving down the entire catch of this belt right here, the 2 magnets. So, these 2 magnets magnet to the outer belt, and it just helps you line things up when you have, say, a plate carrier on or a bunch of other gear. It's a good way to not have to, be looking and feeling. So it's pretty automatic, and it also has this triangle right here. I don't know how well you can see that one. You can see that one though. So you want that oriented to the sky every time. It's meant to be worn a certain way. So there is some purpose in that triangle. You always want it pointed to the sky. So just remember that when you're donning this belt. So, and then moving down to the other end, you have this laser cut sleeve right here, which is where your thermoplastic actually tucks into. So you can see that. So that just keeps everything nice and tidy. So let's don the inner belt real quick and go over that. So you want to make sure you orient it the right way. Triangles to the sky. Alright. So now I get it here. I tuck that sleeve in. Get it started. Alright. Now, you always want to make sure that these two magnets back here are lined up perfectly. So I just go with whatever feels symmetrical. So actually, I think I had it right off the get-go. You can kind of cheat with your belt loop. That feels good to me. So take this, tighten it down. You can almost see this stretchy piece. It's almost like suspension. Comes out, bam, and it feels like it fits perfect just about every time. So yeah, and then I carry a Glock 19, and I use a T-Rex Sidecar 2.0. I've been rocking this holster for quite a while now. And this is where that piece of thermoplastic comes into play. It feels super rigid. This doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. I don't necessarily need an extremely rigid inner belt to support this thing because that piece of thermoplastic is doing its job. It's not going anywhere. You know, the belt stays pretty steady and it's very comfortable. Obviously I'd have my shirt over this if I was carrying out in public, but yeah, just so you guys can see, it does a good job. And yeah, if you want to use this belt for EDC, I'd definitely say go ahead. It's a great belt. So put that there. Alright, so now let's go over the outer belt. So we're just going to start from the top and work our way down to the other end. We start here with this piece of Tegris or laser cut thermoplastic, whatever you want to call it. I think a lot of companies are going towards Tegris because it's lightweight and it's extremely, I mean, I get my finger in there and kind of bend it, but it retains its rigidity and that just helps the integrity of the entire belt. It's going to help you, carry really whatever weight you want and still be super light. When I'm wearing this, I don't feel like any piece of my gear is sagging off, which gets really annoying. So yeah, got Tegris here. Cobra buckle, pretty standard in the industry. You could probably tow a car with this stuff. Cobra buckles are great. Then you have this retention whip right here. So as you go to buckle it, you can then tighten this down. And it's got a stretchy piece of nylon right here that will end up retaining that whip so that it's stays nice and tidy, doesn't go flying around. Yeah, like I said, the Tegris goes throughout the entire belt. You can kind of see that here. And they did kind of a cool diagonal design on there for looks. It's got to look cool. That's one of the most important parts, is looking cool. Or else there's really no point in buying it. However, yeah, that runs through the entire belt, and it's all this super nice laser cut moly. So the belt is extremely nicely made. Like, the attention to detail in this thing is second to none, I think. There's really nothing about that I could say negatively in this belt. So now the other end, obviously female end of the Cobra, and it comes with this loop here. You can get this loop rated for rappelling, but for my purposes, I don't see myself rappelling from a helicopter or from a cliff anytime soon, so I just got the one that they issue standard. Yeah, and then we have this laser cut sleeve right here. So this sleeve is where the other end of your Tegris is going to tuck into. Very similar, let's see if you can see that, very similarly to the inner belt. It'll look better when I put it on, but yeah, that just kind of tidies everything up and keeps it all nice and thin and sucked down. So, and then the catch is the magnets. So like the other one, this one has that triangle as well that you want pointed to the sky. You want to orient them the same way, and the two magnets will clasp on. So let's don the belt real quick. And you'll see as I put this thing on, as I get it closer, it will just snap to, just like that. So one more time. It snapped on. And it's just nice to have that guide you every time, so that if you're wearing a bunch of gear, you don't have to, you know, look back at it or feel too hard. Then you just pull it forward, line it up. You can do your fine adjustments there. And see right here, I'm tucking that Tigris into the sleeve. So I kind of jam it in as hard as I can to get it really sucked down. Then I'll do my Cobra, and then after the Cobra we'll do this. So one thing that kind of annoys me a little bit, this doesn't always line up perfectly with your gig line, and it's kind of hard to ensure that when you're putting on. I don't know. It's not perfect, but it works. And then you just tuck your whip away in that stretchy piece of nylon that I was telling you about. Pull it flush, and everything's out of your way. So now we have a fully kitted Magnetix belt. The weight distribution is awesome. The rigidity of the belt is really good, and I actually prefer a less rigid inner belt, kind of like this. I don't know if I missed that, but the inner belt is not very rigid at all. The reason I like a less rigid inner belt is because I'm a skinny guy, and when I have something super rigid riding on my hips, it tends to dig in. So that not being the case with this belt actually, to me, makes it more comfortable, and the rigidity of the outer belt makes up for all that. So like I said, nothing feels like it's sagging off on this belt. I mean, I'm fully kitted. I've got, you know, I've got bullets in my mags, and, you know, I guess I don't have handcuffs here, but fully kitted IFAC. Nothing feels like it's drooping. I don't have any, you know, pressure points on my hips, and I've worn this for hours at a time. I've never had a discomfort issue with this belt. So yeah, as far as wearing this for duty, I would set it up a little bit differently. Like, so on my duty belt, I'm not actually running anything here on the rear, because this spot in your lower back tends to get really uncomfortable. Like, say you're wearing an IFAC and you're sitting for a long time, and that constant pressure on your lower back can really start to get annoying. You know, in law enforcement, you have a lot of times where you're sitting a lot because you're either driving a car, you could be writing a report. You know, there's just a lot of opportunities to sit down. So on my duty belt, I run kind of the same setup here, except for I'm running a taser here with a handcuff pouch here, nothing on the back, all the way up to my gun, and then I run a handcuff pouch up front for quick access. So yeah, for a range belt though, something I'm not really going to be wearing in the car, you know, the way I have this set up works out really nicely. And everything is right where I can grab it with two hands. I mean, I could reach around to the back. That's something that's really important. You want to make sure everything's accessible with both your hands. So just kind of a piece of advice for how to set up your belt. So yeah, if you're looking to get into the gear game, or, you know, get yourself a range belt, I would highly recommend this belt. It is on the spendier side at like 180 something bucks. There are cheaper belts out there like the Corby one, which I really have nothing bad to say about either. Maybe the quality of the inner belt on that one, but if you want like a full spectrum nice belt that really does it all, sucks down nicely even for things like prone shots, or, I mean, I can really move in this thing, and this thing is actually very rigid. My gear isn't really rattling around. It's very solid. Um, this is a really, really good option. And I think, if you're looking to buy once, cry once, and have a belt that's going to do it all for a long time and hold up, I think this belt's going to hold up just fine. Like I said, it's only been out for a few months now. However, it is battle tested in Israel. The IDF, has been fighting Hamas wearing this gear, and many of Agilite's other products, but they prototyped this belt and built it in Israel while testing it in real war. And for a lot of you who want to, kind of stay up to that military spec type gear. Okay, I don't know where it stopped recording, but for those of you who want to stay up to the mil spec, this belt was battle tested in Israel through its entire development, and a lot of thought has gone into making this belt. So, Agilite, they do a really good job of just, thinking and overthinking things and coming out with a product that is just super nice. I have literally no issues with this belt other than maybe the molly not coming up to this cobra right here. However, I really don't use that molly that much except for on my duty belt and where I'm mounting cuffs here, because I like to run my pistol oriented a little more forward on my hip instead of back here, because I feel like this is a more natural draw than it being back here. So yeah, I have very few complaints about this thing, and I just think it's money well spent. So that's my overview on this belt. So if you're looking to buy your first battle belt, or you're looking to switch to something better, I definitely would recommend this belt. It's battle tested and developed in Israel. There's a lot of thought that went into this belt. It looks absolutely badass. That's probably the most important part, if we're all, if we're being honest with ourselves. But if you want to buy once, cry once, $180 for something like this, I think is actually a pretty fair price. And I don't think you'll be needing to buy another one for a very long time. So yeah, if you're interested in entering the range belt game, I would say this is one of your best options. There are a few others. We could also talk about that down in the comments. If you have any questions in the comments, definitely leave them there. Make fun of me, talk a little crap, whatever you want to do. I'm usually pretty good about replying to that kind of thing. So, and also, I'm sure many other people have different opinions. So starting that discussion down there is, I think, a good thing. So definitely do that. But yeah, anyways, if you enjoyed watching this video, leave me a like, subscribe if you feel so inclined. I'm not really doing this channel for money. I don't really care to ever be paid. I'm just doing it for fun. So, and trying to give you guys some advice and show you some things. If I had one piece of advice for you, though, it would be to buy once, cry once. I learned that saying from my father-in-law. Skimping on belts because of their price, I don't think is a good idea. You're better off investing your money in something a little more expensive that's going to hold up, and something that you're going to enjoy a little more. You could skimp out and buy a cheaper belt, and yeah, those cheaper belts work really nice. However, do they hold up as long? Was the same thought put into developing those belts? Do they have the same features? Are they as cool? Probably not. If it's me and say my life depends on it, I want to buy from a reputable brand that I know is going to hold up, and just something that I can trust. So a lot of what I'm buying is the trust, whether it's Blue Alpha Gear, Core, Agilite, High Speed Gear. Those are all brands that I feel like I can trust. So don't skimp out and buy something cheap because that's what you can afford at the time. Because there's this thing on most websites called Afterpay, and we all can more than likely afford 20 something bucks a month. So, you know, if that's a better option for you, definitely use that, utilize that tool to be able to obtain nicer things. I know when I first bought, I think my first plate carrier, I used Afterpay, and that was my first nice plate carrier, and I believe it was a Safe Life Defense plate carrier that I use Afterpay on. So don't skimp out. Buy something that you can trust, because if your life depends on it, you know, the dollar amount's going to become a lot less important. And I don't think you could put a dollar amount on the value of your life. So anyways, that's my 2 cents on the whole thing, and I hope you enjoyed watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.